Contagious emotions. This is why people are getting cancer. So let me just explain. Staying well when your loved one is depressed. Dr. Ronald Podell. He was at UCLA, 1992. One of the early guys that started writing about this. So more recent books, a Harvard professor in UC San Diego. Christakis is at Harvard. And I forgot the one at San Diego. Connected is the book. And so we all are connected. And I felt like I had to do this second video for the cure for cancer because I only got partway through it. And some people are probably saying, what? How is that going to cure cancer? Well, she's been living totally isolated and no positives, surrounded by the relationships are toxic. Not to blame for anybody. The person who I mentioned, he could have gotten treated 20 years ago if the treatment had been available in the system, but it's not. Just like it wasn't for Chuck Norris's dad and for other people. So amidst, there's dozens of studies I found. Remember, let me remind you in a previous video, 20 years ago, my father got atrial fibrillation and the doctors put him on drugs. He didn't do anything about stress. Months later, I ended up with a stack of documents that said it was caused by stress, and he retired from working 70 hours a week where he was taking care of dying patients in nursing homes. So he had a massive amount of stress. So my aunt has had a massive amount of stress, never found love. There's layers and layers and layers of it, all the subconscious stuff, and then on top of that, all the reality stuff in her family, and then no positives. So Norman Cousins, the story of Norman Cousins is where he got life-threatening, some kind of illness, and the doctor said, you're going to die in a few months. There's nothing you can do. So he went home and he thought, wow, I've been under a lot of stress. Maybe if I use positive emotions and stress reduction, it'll save me. And so he cured his illness and he wrote a book, Anatomy of an Illness. And he became a professor at UCLA, and they made him a doctor. Then he got heart disease. The doctors he worked with helped him to do healthy living, and he told that story in The Healing Heart. And so about healing that. But that's not being offered to any of us or anybody we care about. And so instead of them getting the direction, like 10 years ago, you have insomnia or your husband has a drinking problem, here's a program. He could have gone into a program 10 years ago, but no, it's not available. An intensive, effective program. So people that have a drinking problem, that's toxic stress overload, because alcohol it's a depressant. It turns off the emergency nervous system. It turns on the happy chemicals. Bad news stress turns off happy chemicals. Alcohol turns them on again temporarily until it wears off. And so it becomes a cycle. So I'm just giving you the picture. She was overloading with toxic stress and then struggling financially as a senior to work as a caregiver and earn enough to survive. She had to pay rent, I think, in that house. I'm not sure. But yeah, she had to pay rent. Anyway, she had expenses. So health. This guy at University of Texas, Austin, Pennebaker, emotions, disclosure, and health. He puts together all the studies about cancer and everything, about stress and emotional disclosure. So my aunt never went through that process. Well, she did a little bit because she went to a psychologist for a while, but not enough, I know for sure. So, but even with that, she was in that toxic environment. So the cure is for her to go into a deluxe healthy living program, just like my father was the founding medical director of the Pritikin Longevity Center in a Trump-owned hotel in Miami Beach. So I'm saying let's create that here in Austin, Texas for my aunt, and then we'll bring my father in. People in your network have things that they could go into it too. Let's do it now for them like it's an emergency. Look within your network for the people who need that. Contact me and ask me, how is that going to help my aunt, my uncle, my brother, my sister, my brother's friend, my brother's girlfriend, my grandfather, all these people. How's it going to help them? I'll tell you, we'll put them in it with the best doctors in the world. Dean Ornish is going to be invited again. I've already been inviting him for a long time. Reversing heart disease. Okay, his program will do a lot of different things. So that's what's never been tried with cancer is you got cancer. Now we're going to put you in a beautiful place where you feel great. You go for walks. It's beautiful. You have fun. You get massages. You have hot tubs. You have fun. You talk to other people. You learn about health. You learn about stress reduction. You do exercises. You eat healthy. Reset the stress system. If you got cancer because of stress, yes, there's other reasons to get cancer. So this can't cure every cancer, probably. Although it could influence every cancer, I bet. So if it's caused by toxic stress overload, you have an emergency nervous system that's on fire. Going into a program for a month or 2 or 3 where you're resetting that system is a very good thing to try. But as it is, people find out they have cancer, they are scared to death because the statistics in the medical system are very bad. It's like, oh, gee, you're going to go on a voyage on the Titanic. What? You'd panic, right? So if you find I got cancer, well, in the medical system, it's 50-50 and you're going to take chemotherapy and you're going to be really sick. Okay? Chemotherapy, big question mark. If it makes you so sick that you're super, super stressed out, I got news. The majority of Americans have toxic stress overload, and so that is probably the underlying most important factor in all cancers. Yes. The proof is that 50% of American adults have hypertension or pre-hypertension. Pre-hypertension is hypertension. It means you're getting sick. Your stress is so high, your tension is so high that you're getting sick. But it's reversible. You got to get the elephant off your back. And that's what this is all about, is identifying that elephant. It's not about lifting that elephant off of you by yourself. And I'm going to have to get into that. So for my aunt, my game plan is, and Dr. Perry, I'm asking you to put this in the hopper and think about it and ask your other post-traumatic stress friends. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, Dr. Figley. Stress is contagious. You all know that because of empathy. So that's what Dr. Figley is the big expert on in his book, Burnout in Families. So that's the one I took down to Florida and I met him 20 years ago, right after 9/11. So because of empathy, people get toxic stress overload. So my aunt has had that and been totally cut off from all of her family. That's burnout in families. That's what Dr. Figley wrote about. And so to treat my aunt, we need to bring the whole family together with some good news that we got this great program she's going to go into, and my dad. Instead of my mom's there alone watching her suffer and die, and my mom's like, oh, should I go to Rite Aid and get a fogger? Or should I go get a hot pad? Or should I go get this CBD oil? Chris, look for a new alternative therapy. Okay, that's making her, she already has hypertension from post-traumatic stress, from my dad being sick the last 2 years because the doctors wouldn't prescribe physical therapy and an adequate amount of help after they poisoned him with a bad drug they gave to him against his will and against our wishes. Am I talking too fast? Okay. Yeah, I'm looking for the miracle. The Superman came down and saved us from the Titanic, which is sinking at the last minute, and you're the one. All of you. Okay, let's all come together. I need 2 dozen, 3 dozen people in Texas, in Austin and Waco, coming together to say, yes, this is urgent, and give me a list of who you need, who in your family or friends need this program too. Thank you.